All right, we are set up. It is straight up 11 o'clock on the East Coast. We've got our friends in the Midwest and the West, and all the way out there where my buddy Gary is on the left coast. And we want to welcome everybody to our Nextel Saturday Coffee Hour. I want to begin with a quote today. I was thinking a little bit about this. You know me, I like to philosophize about things and how it all fits. But this is a quote from the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said that everything is perfect in the universe, even our desire to improve it. And I chose that quote today because I think today that we're going to discuss about the possibility or the probability of improving an already perfect universe. And in order to do that, I got to introduce myself for the guests who don't know who I am. I'm Bob Corsi. I'm with Nextel. This is what I do 3 times a week, and that's amongst other things. But I love sharing this information with people who are involved in the business. And in order to set the stage and accomplish what at least I've set out to be important today, we're going to discuss 3 topics. Our first topic is appreciation. Yeah, we're going to do that. And the second one, we are going to discuss the science of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And thirdly, we're going to talk about our welcome essentials and a new beginning as a result of the month of December and what we're setting the stage for as a company and what we should do as individuals. So by the end of our conversation today, I don't know that I'm going to be the person of enlightenment. I try to be that. But we are going to be talking about epiphanies here. And that's when the light bulb goes on. And that's when ordinary people decide to do extraordinary things. And that is the message. And you'll see by the time we're finished what this effort will do following Wayne Dyer's suggestions there. So let's get started. First thing that we want to talk about is appreciation. Why is that relevant? Well, I'm going to tell you a brief story. I was out and about yesterday. I got home right about 5 o'clock, and I walked in my front door, and in a little vestibule, there was a package. And I opened it up, and it was the first Christmas gift that I had received. And when I opened it up, inside of this box was some exotic, let's call it, barbecue from Texas. So I knew immediately where I got that gift, from whom I got that gift, and it came from Steve. And, you stop and think after a grueling year. We get into December, and this whole giving thing starts. And for the last 2 or 3 meetings, we've been talking about the gift that keeps on giving. And when I got that gift, I just said, this is important. This validates a whole lot of things. Not that I got a gift necessarily, but it validates a relationship. It validates effort. It's all about appreciation. And it comes from a friend. When it comes from a stranger, you say, oh, how nice. When it comes from a friend, you say, that's meaningful. And what I'm thinking about is we've got to start thinking that way. It's part of that law of attraction where if you send good out, good comes back. And that's going to be our effort, at least for the day and for the rest of the year. So, I had a little dinner last night, which was one of the most succulent barbecued pork chops, and I called Steve this morning and told him about it. But enough about that. It was about the appreciation, the thought, the giving, and it. I guess it just made me feel good. I wanted to share that with you. Number 2, we're going to talk about ordinary people. Why are we going to talk about ordinary people? Well, it's real simple. Let us boil down the stew, talk about the space that we're in, And we have laid claims to the fact that this is a level playing field. It attracts everyone. You don't have to be pretty rich and smart. And to validate that thinking, I want to tell you once again a little bit of Steve's history, my history, and others who were a part of Excel in the long distance business. It's important to know. You see, for the first couple of years at Excel, I've shared this story before. Things weren't all that rosy. As a matter of fact, I've heard little statements like, "We've tried to kill this thing half a dozen times and it won't die." Well, we used to hear stories about, man, I got 3 people in the business, but they were all in a row. But let me tell you what those people did. But the real notable result of what was going on in the first couple of years of Excel was the fact that there were people, who were sick and tired of being sick and tired, regular folks. I mean, I'm talking about coaches. I'm talking about a friend. He's passed away, and he's down in Houston, Texas. Chuck Gruber, God bless him. And some very, very interesting people, none of whom, by the way, were network marketing mavens. None of them were, got a PhD in multi-level marketing. None of them were exceptional specifically to the industry. They had their own talents, but they got involved at a time when it was all about growth. It was all about opportunity. It was all about possibility. But what I admired most about those people, Steve reminded me, is that once they got involved, they stayed committed, they remained committed. And what did that result in? Ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. At one point in time, they seemed to have known, they had an epiphany, they seemed to have known that this was the time that something was going to happen in the long distance business. And once all of the machines are operating together, you've got the organization, and you've built a whole bunch of people who were sanguine, hopeful. Maybe this will work. Maybe if I just stick with this, someday something's going to come along. That deregulation thing was not a ruse. And it came to the point where Excel, not necessarily in the beginning a common name in the long distance business, we're fighting people like AT&T, MCI, and Sprint. Everybody knew them. Who are these other people that are playing? So it was like pushing a rope. But these people hung in there until it happened. And when we talk about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, they had the framework built. They had an organization. A lot of people didn't know what was going on. I joke with Steve, once I got started, I'm hearing all these numbers and this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I wasn't pushing back, but, I had that look on my face like, really? And it took a while before it started to explode. There were people, in the beginning, you make a couple $1,000 and you say, well, it works. The whole idea behind the Fast Start is that people ask you how much money you make, and you say to them, well, enough to know it works. Every time I go find somebody to help me build my business, I make money. I get $100, and all I do is gather a few customers. It works. Yeah, but what about the big numbers? What about this? That does not happen until after traction and momentum is built. And you've got to get the epiphany that you have to have a unique placement in this space in order to take advantage of what's about to happen. Now, what is about to happen? I've been talking about this for some time, and I think maybe the whole government's been talking about it for some time. But as you know, we are just waiting for a signature on the Farm Bill. It's going to remove cannabis from that number one spot in the no-no category for drugs, et cetera. We know historically how it got there. What a mistake. But that is going to be lifted. And in our mind, in Steve's mind, and I believe it should be in your mind, that is going to be the time when you're going to say to yourself, I believe that this thing's going to happen now. So many people are going to be able to take advantage of the therapeutic value of CBD. We already know about Epidiolex, so the FDA approved that. It's coming along. Don't you believe that in a short period of time, what I call the window of opportunity is going to be a little bit wider. It's time to jump through it. You cannot build a dynasty by yourself, my friends. The people that I was speaking about, coaches, teachers, business people who had never played in the space, started making a couple $1,000s a month. That's where we started. Huh? Next thing you know, they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month. And we talk about people making a fortune every month, some pretty big numbers. But there weren't just one or two, by the way. There were a whole lot of folks that were making $1 million a year selling long distance, which was just air. And there was no therapeutic benefit to it. Everybody had it. They saw an opportunity to get a better deal, or for that matter, to do business with somebody that they know and somebody that they love. That's the relationship marketing aspect. That's the referral marketing aspect. I found a great long distance company, blah, blah, blah. And in the beginning, people looked at you like you had 16 eyes. They thought you thought you were an LED light. Back then, they didn't have LED lights. But they look at you like, what? Yeah. That's because they would put monsters like AT&T and MCI and Sprint right up there with Oxygen and God Almighty. I mean, those companies had a tremendous grasp on that industry, but it was essentially deregulation that allowed this. And once the XL phenomenon started to roll, people who got in early, people who hung in long, started to realize that this thing was going to be something, and it actually got to be the phenomenon that was written about. And I know I was there. And you get a gift at your door, and what happens is you think all the way back 25 years ago, and you say to yourself, wow, did I ever believe that this was going to happen? And it did. And I was blessed. This isn't about me. It isn't necessarily about the folks that were blessed at XL. It's about those people on the phone and those people who are attracted to us by the end of the year and early in 2019 that are going to be uniquely positioned to take advantage. And I want everybody today to have an epiphany. The timing is right. You can't be in a better thing, in a better situation. The best thing that could have happened is the day we said we're in business, we started making gazillion dollars the next day. It doesn't happen that way. Everybody knows the small business statistics aren't pretty. 2 out of 3 companies are gone in a year. After a year and a half, we're punching it out. We're profitable. We're growing. You can't build a dynasty unless we grow. You got to leverage yourself. So this is the time when I'm going to recommend to you that, just based upon experience, based upon logic, we're at the point where we have to do what we have to do, and I'm going to talk about that in number 3. So the third topic that we're talking about, we talked about appreciation. It's a nice feeling. It's love, man. So it makes the world go around. All I need is love. Beatles were singing that. And here's what happens. Extraordinary things come from ordinary people because we're all like-minded. A lot of us are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't care what form it takes. Some of us ache. Some of us are miserable, lonely, depressed, anxious. Some of us got all kinds of things coming at us. And, we've got an opportunity to help people. And that's why we come together as often as we do. We've got to have the confidence and the belief that we're not only doing something good for ourselves. That's a self-serving reason. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, so I'm going to do something about it. Yeah. But the ancillary benefit, the true benefit, is that in order for us to succeed, we've got to help an awful lot of people. Those that we recruit, we're going to do a combination of help them if they're ailing, and financial ailments are terrible too. We talk about the love of money being the root of all evil. Don't love it. Just use it for what it is. And the more we make, the more people we can help. So that's what happened in XL. It is ready to happen in XL. I'm feeling real good about it. And what's really outrageous is that it's coming at this time of the year when we're all celebrating the holidays, specifically Christmas here. Okay, so let's go into number 3, our welcome essentials. A part of success, we've heard, I think Zig Ziglar said it, I can't quote him specifically, but I know the message. It lies in preparation. So you got to be prepared, Boy Scout model. You've got to be prepared to take advantage of opportunities. So when opportunities and preparation meet, you are uniquely poised to ride what Steve calls the wave to whatever degree of success you want. Let's talk about that for 1 minute. There are people on the phone, and believe me, I was one of them. And I got to share with you, I was doing okay. I had a corporate position. I was making some good money. I never knew what fortune was out there because I was a pretty happy guy, pretty complacent. But the fact of the matter is, when you stop and think about what success is, I recall people shaking Steve's hand saying, I want to thank you so much. And he'd say, well, that was easy, man. Welcome aboard. Thanks. I'm glad you're happy. And you know, they'd be talking to Steve about that extra $750 a month actually changed the lives of their family. Back in the day, when about $360 was the difference between a foreclosure and saving a mortgage. Back at a time when, you know, cars were just coming out, and, you know, remember when they went from like $9,000 to $30,000? Yeah, they figured that one out pretty well. Somebody could go out on $750 and not only buy a car, but pay the insurance and the gas. So that level of success was phenomenal for so many people, ordinary people like us, where incremental improvement can make a difference in our lives and in the lives of everybody else. Okay? I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking about, well, I'm pacing like I usually do, but I'm just thinking about the good that we can do by changing our disciplines. And the suggestion today in number 3 is we're going to use the Welcome Essentials to develop a new regimen. So if we want to be ordinary people achieving ordinary things, we're going to need some help, back to leverage. And I want to tell you that there were a lot of people who could recruit. They were recruiting machines. They didn't even know what they were doing. They just talked to a lot of folks. They knew a lot of folks. And a lot of regular folks came into the business because they saw what was happening. Somebody had to start that. And the people who started it were the people like you and me and the group that we're speaking with during the week. We are going to have a blast. And what can we do to start this new regimen? You know, if you focus in on something simple, Steve's biggest philosophy is keep it simple. And what can be more simple than actually setting a goal to recruiting 2 people a month? At the end of the year, you'll have 24 people. You can be an RD, but we have to hang in there with those people. Remember I told you about unilevel. Quit worrying about level 2 and level 5 and level 7 and the infinite levels, my goodness. That will emerge under its own power. It's got its own energy. But that energy is stimulated by doing simple things. And a unilevel plan, we go out there one at a time, bring someone into the business, teach them our simple exercise of finding customers, prospects, and getting our welcome essentials into their hands. That's all we do, for God's sakes. We're not digging a ditch. We don't have to be nuclear physicists. God bless you, nuclear physicists that have joined us. But there's nothing that you have to have that's exceptional, given the experience and the history that I shared with you about ordinary people who built Excel into an extraordinary phenomenon, and they capitalized on it as well, okay, financially. But along with that came so many things: private school, new home, maybe a better car, maybe a bunch of money in the bank that they're still spending now, and Excel's been gone. Excel's been gone. So the extraordinary things I've witnessed, and they continue to be witnessed. Back to Welcome Essentials. You know that you're going to make $100. We're going to trigger $100 to two people to sponsor you by putting $30 samples, Welcome Essentials, into the hands of prospects. We all know people who are sick. We all know people that want to make money too. If we just do that over a period of time, I like to talk to a couple of people a day. I talk to more than two people a day, but I don't want to set up. I'm not like the buzzard waiting to kill something. I kind of sit there and wait for the conversation to ensue. This morning I was walking my dog and I talked to my neighbor. One thing led to another. She said, "What do you do?" And I told her, blah blah blah. She says, "Man, maybe that stuff will help my arthritis." I said, "Well, then I'm going to make you my customer. Are you willing to try it?" So now I got to get some action going. Came in, put my dog away. No, I didn't put him away. I put him aside, and I wrote down a note. Every day, if you're just out there, you've heard us say you don't have to do this business full time. You just have to be thinking about it full time so that you're poised for an opportunity that comes up. This hurts, that hurts, or I lost my job, or I hate my boss, or I'd rather do it another way. Those are the things that we listen to. And whenever I speak with you about, 2 ears and 1 mouth, it always boils down to we've got to be listening twice as much as we speak. And a lot of people in our space have a tendency to blow and go. They want to pontificate about everything they know about CBD and all the complexities of the compensation plan, both of which serve one purpose, and that's usually to confuse the audience, the person on the other end. So if we ask questions, that's what happens. We ask questions about how their life is. We ask questions about their family, about what they do for a living, about how they're feeling. People that we know, we can do that easily. Most of us have had contact with the people we know already, and some of them weren't ready. I think what you have to share with these people now is you might not have been ready then, and quite frankly, I'm not sure I was ready then. And quite frankly, I'm not sure this whole thing was ready then. It was like that hot water before it boils. And it's going to start boiling. This is the time to have that epiphany. Don't wait. Don't sit and wait for January 1st. And don't dream about how rich you're going to be in June, because that success isn't going to happen unless we're prepared and unless we're engaged in activity that will result in a growth of our organization. So right now, $30 for a Welcome Essential has been reduced to $19.95, for God's sakes. So for $20, we've got the same influence to get to people. And we talk about stocking stuffers, buying them yourself. Just get the information from them, send it to them, or else drop it off at church, drop it off wherever you got to meet the people and say, "I was thinking about you today. You told me about your back. You told me about this. I haven't seen you in a while. Take this." And it's Christmas. And people are going to look at you and say, wow. Is that an appreciation, the way we started? Yeah. We should be appreciative of all the relationships that we have. We should be appreciative of the health that we enjoy and appreciate the fact that other people are not comfortable, are not happy with their lives. And that appreciation will cause us to do extraordinary things. So anyway, as I look at my little clock here, it's 24 minutes. Shared a lot of information with you. So let's go back to the beginning. We covered appreciation. We covered ordinary folks who accomplished ordinary things. You and I and anybody who joins us, we are all ordinary folks, believe it. Our egos step aside and we start to say to ourselves, I want to do something great. I want to do something not only for myself, but help an awful lot of people. That is the mission, my friends. we'll have all kinds of appreciation as that goes through. And then thirdly, we've got the tools to do it. Our comp plan is powerful. It's a simple plan, the unilevel. Quit worrying about everything else. Just talk to people, bring them into the business. Our system will sort it out for you. And the more you try to delve into it, study and all that, you're detracting from the opportunities that you've got to bring change to somebody else's life. That comp plan's going to be there no matter how well you know it. All right? So we started with Dr. Wayne Dwyer. Everything is perfect in the universe. Even our desire to improve it. So I think our message for the day is this. If you want this, now's the time. I don't know what your desire is, what your why is, what your objective is. I don't know if you want to get rich. I don't know if you want to just get rid of your backache. It doesn't make any difference. In order for us to accomplish anything that we desire to accomplish, it requires a change in our behavior, a change in our daily regimen. Let's talk to 2 people a day. A goal-setting mechanism. Some of us ought to try to get 1 a week. How about we alternate weeks? Don't work too hard, my friends. Once it starts happening, you will be very, very fascinated by how many people you've got to go and see. And they're going to come to you because you're thinking about it full time. Wayne Dyer was right. Even your desire to improve it is an element of perfection. How great. A little philosophical for a bunch of ordinary folks trying to figure out what CBD is and how you get paid. But let's let these ordinary folks contribute to improving the perfect universe. I have been blessed today. May you be blessed as well. We'll talk to you during the week. Bye, everybody.